Superbooth 23. I'm here not on the booth of Shakmat, but outside in the lovely Superbooth here. Here with François from Shakmat. How are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm fine. It's a bit early in the first day, but you hear there are many people already. You see there are many people already. We are here to talk about Shakmat. First thing, Shakmat, where the name comes from, because it's a bit special, because it's not now like a name in English or so. It's where comes Shakmat, the name?
It's the original name of the chess game. Actually, Shakmat means literally Shah, like the shine iron, the king, and Kmat means dead. So it's the king in dead. It's a word that made the word chessmate in English, for example. So basically, I had this musical project back 10 years ago, which was called Bishop Dust, and it was a bit related to chess. And when I did my first module, it was called the Bishop Miscellany. And we had to pick a name around the Bishop Miscellany, and so we decided to take the original name of the chess game, which is Shakmat. That's why all the first module were called like the Knight Gallop, the Four Weeks Rook, we have the Clockupon, everything related to chess. And we have so many modules that we try to invent what could be in an imaginary chess game a new piece, like we have, I don't know, the Medusa, which could be a piece in an imaginary chess game or something like this. So it's a chess related, as you will see at the booth. We have a chess related decorated booth.
And you are a company from Belgium?
Yes, yeah, from Belgium, Brussels, Belgium, yeah.
The Belgium scene is pretty big actually, because you have Shakmat, you have Joe Analog, and Clavis, I think also, and more. It's becoming really a modular scene. So after the Netherlands and so now Belgium is also really a big scene in Europe.
Yeah, we have quite several manufacturers. So yes, the three big ones are definitively Clavis, your Analog, and Shakmat. But there is also, for example, Tritom. It's coming from Belgium, and you have a new other brand coming, and there are some newcomers here at Superbooth this year.
I think more for also.
Modular. Yeah, they are all ones. They also run a shop in Antwerp and in the north of Belgium, which is called Turnlab. Yeah.
And there's also a new company, More for.
Oh, More for. Sorry. Yeah. More for. Yeah, was I was saying the newcomers, they are there this year. More for. Yeah.
And are you working are you talking together always a bit about your businesses, or is it more like you are now working in your own business there? Or how the friendship are there between the Belgian community? Is there a lot of, you hear feedbacks from them, or you're interacting with them a bit? So how you can imagine this in this Belgian community?
With the manufacturers, we have a very good relationship with the other manufacturers. So Eric from Clavis is living like 500 meters from my place, and I know him now from years and years, and we exchange ideas. We have very different point of view about making modules, so it's very interesting to talk each other about what we're making. We fitting very well also with your Analog, for example. He's living more in the north of Belgium, so I don't see him that often, that Eric, but definitively we have a good relationship, and we sometimes try to meet. Like tomorrow we have a Belgian night, going to restaurant together and exchanging ideas and talking. But it's good to have people in the same country doing the same thing, because some problematic can be a bit new, and it's interesting to know how different people handle this. And we're quite open with discussing this together. And the very good point is Shakmat, Clavis, and your Analog, we're making like very different stuff. So we don't feel like very competing on the same field, and that's why that's a way to get well together also.
That I want to ask later, because I saw there's major differences between the companies, between Clavis and you did, or the Joe Analog. The models are very different from the feature sets, or even the module concepts. They are very, very different. But now back to Shakmat. How big is Shakmat? How many people are working there? Because it's always difficult to see how big a company like this is. Is this one guy or two guys, or?
Right now we're 7, plus a bunch of helpers that works from time to time. So like the core of 7 people includes me, who could be described as a boss. I'm also doing the I'm imagining the modules, I'm doing software engineering, hardware engineering. We have Guillaume, who is doing more PCB and analog design. Steve is doing like more graphic and industrial design things. We have Hugo handling all the logistic and shippings and so on. We have Nicola at the workshop. We have Leonard, who is a freelance software developer. And we have Brice, who is handling the communication side of Shakmat.
And already also thanks to the camera guy, which is from Clavis. So yeah, it's really it's running, yeah. Okay. So Shakmat, it's a Belgian company. It's prettier than it's not so small as maybe many people think, or even bigger, because it's always difficult to see how big a company is, because always on the website, you think, okay, this company could be really big because shiny website and so on. But it's always nice to see here on Superbooth how tiny this world is, or tiny these companies are, and it's still pretty impressive that you are still now already at 7 people. So for a Eurorack company, I think this is already big. And now for the Shakmat, you have now also new modules on Superbooth and so on. But for me, it's more interesting. In which direction are you going with your modules? Do you have a fixed direction, or you are maybe exploring multiple directions or fields, let's say more on the sound generation or more on the rhythmic side or so? Do you have a specialty in Shakmat?
Yeah, you have, so I will go back to the previous question to answer this one. So we are 7, but we are, apart from like the real big core, which is Steve, Guillaume, and me, everyone is mostly part-time, because we all have musical career on the side. And it's the thing with Shakmat, we are engineers, programmers, designers, but everyone is also musician, and we try to always have this musician view on the module we're making. Or in a performance, you would have this tool working. What can help for to really make music, and mostly in a performative way of thinking. So we have different applications and different fields of modules. So we started with a lot of rhythmic generation stuff. But no, for example, last year we presented more analog subsystem with a VCO, a wave folder, kind of filter. We also started to develop years ago quadraphonic panners. This year we're introducing drum generation module line. So our goal right now is to make a full system oriented, maybe like a I don't like the word, but kind of a groove box system we would like to make. So something that allows to make definitively more rhythmic and beat music, even if you can go ambient and more experimental, but having like strong features that allows to easily handle the models in live situations. And again, really with a musician point of view, which is very important for us.
I had always you in my head with rhythmic stuff, because I know your clock generator and the modules that can manipulate clocks and so on. I always had Shakmat is a rhythmic company for rhythmic modules and so on. And so it's very good to see this year that you are now giving the people for your rhythmic modules also the voices.
Yeah, the loop is done, I would say, because we started with like Forbrix Rugans and iGallop, which are both like a rhythmic pattern generator, and we always wanted to say, okay, no, we have those solutions to make rhythms that we really like and that really performative. We would like now to put sounds on the sequencers, and finally, after several years, we're bringing those tools to make sounds. Yeah.
But I can imagine it's pretty tough to be unique in this world of Eurorack, because Eurorack is booming. How many developers are here, or only at Superbooth? And when I see a modular grid, how many developers are on the market? So it's pretty tough to be unique on the thing. So how do you feel about this? Is it always a tough decision or a tough situation to say, is this now unique, or is this different than other developers are doing? So how do you approach making new modules? So where do you start?
From models that are missing or racks to play music. So as we are a lot using those instruments at end users, we always end up with, oh, I will need a tool or model that is making this precise function. So there's some stuff we did like in the very last years that's never existed. Like we have a Euclidean LFO, which is like a very original concept. And there is, I think, if you take the musician point of view, there is always something missing. That can be a bit niche, like for example, a quadraphonic panner can be a very niche in the niche model, you know. But still, there is, we still see some holes in all the models you can find on the market. There's still things that need to be done for us, according to us.
It's better than the 13340 oscillator. Or it's better than the 13340 oscillator or the 100 ladder filter recreation. It's more original than this, because I think every company is doing a filter and an oscillator, and often it's based on the same circuits, basically.
Yeah, it's based on the same circuit, but we're not like. We have a VCO, and it's not a secret we did with the chips that a lot of people are using, but what we try to do with the VCO is to add some performance-oriented stuff. So one thing you don't like with analog VCO while performating with them is to detuning them by mistake while playing a live set. I mean, you have a 1 hour live set, after 10 minutes you're just moving the chorus knob. That's a bit of a problem, I think. And it was the main problem for us with the analog VCO. It was more that, okay, it was cool to have like true zero FM or vari-shape or sub-octave generators, this kind of feature, which are very interesting. But still, the main problem in a performative way of syncing was this tune thing. And so one of the main things we wanted to do with that is to change this tune thing. And for example, the whole analog line we developed, so with a VCO, like kind of VCF, we will call it a multi-type gate or a wave folder, is to have an analog subsystem where you can make a patch very flexible, going west coast to east coast in like bits of turning knobs, and like going from a MS-20 with square style patch to FM with wavefold with LPG. It just take a few knob turns and buttons movements. So approach this term of flexibility in a patch, which is I think really important when you perform with a modular system.
So what I hear now from you talking, we don't expect then from Shakmat a module that has 500 under menus and sub menus, because it's probably not so usable for live, in performance context.
Yes and no. Our approach also is to have very intuitive and simple module to use at the first scratch, but also to give a maximum of a wide application field. So in order to enlarge this application field, it's good sometimes to give more in-depth function. But we have also the possibility to easily recall presets and this kind of stuff. So that's why right now we try to implement on all our modules the select bus. And so you have very often a second deeper layer that allows to set the module in a precise way, because we know also that the way we're syncing is not the way that everyone is syncing. And for example, I'm not a lot into generative patches, but I think it's a very good thing to provide generative solutions to people. So almost all modules provide a second layer with randomness, for example. And it's also the good thing to have a team to think about the modules. It's everyone, it's on approach of thinking about how we make music. And so I give the first idea, but we have a contribution with a lot of people. And we have, so we were speaking about this community of manufacturers in Belgium. In Brussels specifically also, we have a huge community of musicians. And I, for years, organized events like gathering, festival and concerts. And it's very good also to have feedback from those people and from a large community of end users finally.
Are this feedback ending also in the module designs after, or is it more you get when the module is finished, you get the feedback, or is it more you are talking with a specific team maybe of musicians and said, could this work for you in the setup? Is it more, how do you work there when you develop a new module? Is it you getting this feedback then very early in the development, or more on the finalization of the module?
On the very early stage, I share the idea with a bunch of people. So depending on the module, the people can change, because the people which are into quadraphonic are not the same people usually which are into drum modules, for example. So I share the first idea with a bunch of people, and then we have the beta test phase, and it is very important, and we end up very often to change layout and functionalities, and sometimes rethink the model completely after beta testing.
Okay.
Because sometimes very good ideas pop up at this stage, and sometimes it just completely changes the way we approach the model. It's like, oh dude, this guy was so right, and I have to redo everything. But I mean,
so this happened also already, that you had to make redo a module from scratch. You had it finished, and then you said, "Oh no, we'll make it remake it because it was not."
It's more on the technical side. Sometimes we had to re-go very deep in the models, because you got these ideas that popped out at beta testing from a musician. And
because I remember Superbooth last year, when you saw, or was not the oscillator, you showed the oscillator, and then I got the mail for we'd redo the oscillator again.
Yeah, the oscillator is a very good example. So we did this VCO. We tried to have it performance oriented, and when we gave it for beta tests, there is always this thing with tuning potentiometers, and so some people came and said, yeah, it looks, dude, it's and we have this thing with this potentiometer is a problem, this coarse potentiometer, but we didn't felt like we were going so deep into finding a solution about it, and the beta tester confirmed it, like saying, yeah, if you really want to do it like in the Shakmat way, do what you saw it in the first time. Do this tuning, locking, and this octave shifting stuff. Yeah, but it's a lot of redevelopment. Yeah, but actually they're right. If it's a Shakmat approach and an analog VCO, it's necessary it has these features. So yeah, we had to redo everything. And that's right. Like 2 years ago, we presented a VCO without these features, and it's after beta testing and after relooking with the musician and the models that we ended up saying, okay, let's do this. It's been a development part which took as much time as doing the VCO itself, actually.
I hope it's not too windy, this video here with the shield, but it's pretty windy today. Now for Superbooth, you close the loop of your let's say rhythmic section with the first drum modules.
Yes.
How do you find out now it's the time for making these drum modules? Because you could make them already, let's say 4 years ago already, because you had the sequence, or you have this the rhythmic stuff already.
Yeah, we were feeling. We are kind of all learning step by step also our job, and we said we were able to make audio like several years ago, but we felt we didn't have the right idea, and we felt also like more skills would be better to develop this. And we also had one friend of ours, which is called Magnus Stromo, who is an instrument developer from Brussels, who is developing mainly plugins and working for Ableton Live. He's living just very close from our HQ, and he came with a kick ID. And we already have those ideas for different drum modules, but not the kick. And said, hey, look, I got this ID for a kick drum. It is an algorithm working on like prototype models, and we tested it, and we say, oh, this is a serious kick drum. We really like it. He wanted to collaborate with us, so we said, okay, let's start a collaboration together. And we had also this idea for a hi-hat, and we are finally the skills to make the hi-hat. Said, okay, let's go. Hi-hat is not a module that have been done a lot, like the very flexible hi-hat. It's not something that you can find in other companies. So let's do the hi-hat. We have the kick. It's time now to start the drum generation modules.
So you have now the drum module, so we expect next year Shakmat the drum sequencer.
We have the drum sequencer since
I mean a big one.
A big one. I'm not sure, because like the 4 weeks hook, the thing that you can tap the beats and then play with the beats the way you can play with a sample slicer, but working on sequence. It's something that's pretty unique and quite in a musical way of thinking. We feel it's still much stronger than the classic 16-step sequencer, and we really like the way you can play with this kind of module. And you don't need to be very able to play in time, because there is also stable stored inside, also patterns stored inside. But the strong thing with this module is you can easily mangle the pattern, and you can easily do breaks and stuff like that. So I think we should redo MK2 of the 4 bricks at one point, because it needs to fit the new modules, and we can do better. We have more ideas about it right now, and we are now redeveloping. So this year we're presenting, for example, the Clockupon MK2. We discontinued the Bishop miscellany years ago, and it's something we don't have there, but we also started to develop a Bishop MK2. So all this line of control module, sequencing module, we're now redoing this with a fresher, newer way. We know we have more skills to approach this kind of.
And how long you working on a module like this now, the MK2, for example? So how long does it take? Because it's often difficult to see how long does take a development of such more complex module.
It really depends on the models. Some takes 2 years, some takes some months. So it's very related to also the feedback we have with beta testers, because like I said, after some months you're done with the first version and you rework everything, because beta testers just point something very interesting that you should do, and the process of the ping pongs that you can set with beta testers can be so very long. No version, just test it, maybe change he's right, okay, and we're back to coding, developing. So it really depends on the model. Like the Bart Quartet, for example, or Quantizer took more than 2 years to develop. The new version of the Clockupon, we started it this year, and it's a much more simple model to do than a complex quantizer. But it has a lot of parameters that can decide how long a module can take.
And one final question I have for you is: you can imagine to making let's say a complete synth from Shakmat, or complete drum synthesizer with your brilliant ideas of sequencing and rhythmic generation in one standalone unit? You could imagine making something like this, or are you more on the modular side?
No, we will finish a full system. It's the first thing for us to do. We have also many ideas, and some ideas we can recycle in standalone machines, but time is counted, and we have still like real technical developers with just 3. So it's not that much, and we don't have time to do other things that's modules right now. But we know that by being able to make a kick, I add a VCO, a filter, a sequencer, and so on, we're gaining, we're having much more competencies and skills to develop standalone units. And we know that the choice is now being there to should we go with standalone thing or continue developing modules. But we said, okay, we started to develop modules and to try to have a complete system. Let's go first to the complete systems, and then we'll see.
And maybe then also in, let's say, 10 years, a complete thing like a semi-modular thing, or a semi-modular drum synth with all your bits and blobs.
I hope it will come before 10 years, to be honest. I think for a complete system, we should develop more drums modules for sure, because we are kick, hi-hat. The obvious one would be a snare after that, for example. I think we're lacking some other function like FX and some stuff like that, but we're kind of close to have a full system. We will still be able to expand it after, but I hope like next year or the year after we will propose like a complete Shakmat system with different voices, different type of voices, and like I said, effects or mixing. So the kinds of stuff lacking right now.
If I now checking your list of available modules, so next year we see effects.
We hope so. It would be. I'm not saying we will do it like right after coming from Superbooth or for next year, but if you see now the model lines, it's not a secret that what is missing. Finally, it's mixing and effect. So the strong.
Vamos mixer.
Ette?
Performance mixer.
And maybe a performance mixer. Yeah. So the obvious things that are missing right now, and some utilities. So
Okay.
it's not what we want to do, or what we're excited, or we have the skills or the logical way to go. But if you analyze the modules we got right now, it's obvious that are the things missing right now. Yeah.
Okay. I think we are moving in noise kitchen because
Yeah,
it's
let's go
super
there.
noisy inside, but we want also see the new modules.
Yes, we will see that.
Thank you.
Right after.
I'm now here on the booth of Shakmat again with François.
Rio.
So now we are checking out the new gear or the new modules for Superbooth 23. So what do you have new for this year? or
So
for the
this
Superbooth?
year we're presenting 4 new modules. Clockupon MK2, Sentersgate, we presented a prototype last year. And we have also started a drum model lines, which is the Battering Ram and the Archer's Rig. So maybe let's go first with the Battering Ram. So the Battering Ram is a kick drum synthesizer. It's a collaboration with a friend of Shakmat who is called Mark Nostromo, who is a software and instrument developer. So it's a kick drum. It's a very original design. It's not an 808 nor a 909. So it combines a kick drum generation plus a drive section. So let's go and hear some tune about it and how much polyvalent it can go. So you have a drive with 2 types of clippings. This one is a soft type. Let's go to the hard type. So you have a gate mode, you have a HPF for the output, which cuts all the frequencies below 30 Hz. You have also envelope out, which can be ducking or in a normal polarity. And you have also a store and recall function, so you can do a snapshot of the panel. There I'm storing, and then let's do the break. And now you can recall everything. So that's the main idea for this kick.
It's super punchy.
It's super punchy. When he brought the idea and the algorithm to the lab saying, hey, do you want to collaborate on this? We were completely impressed with how it sounds.
So it's digital, not analog.
It's fully digital. But the guy got more than 20 years in DSP engineering, and it's hard to tell that this distortion is a digital distortion, even the soft one. But yeah, it's super punchy. And what's very cool with this is you have like a lot of sweet spot. Everything has been carefully mapped in order to have every parameter always react well while you turn in all those different knobs. So that was the Battering Ram. Now let's switch to the Archer's Rig, which is the hi-hat. So the Archer's Rig here is analog digital hybrid hi-hat generator. So it's digital source with a VCF, VCA and distortion analog. So the digital source can be made of a lot of different algorithms. So in the algorithms you have like typical 808 squares, like more metallic cymbals. Or you have also the bell sounds, like the DR101 with noise and squares. Like speaking of noise, we have different noise algorithms. Then you have the 909 sample. Then you got the FM, like kind of FM algorithms, cross FM algorithms. Resonance, it's like more noise modulating a square wave. And you have also a sine, which particularly shines with the next section, which is the FX section, which is also digital. You can also provide an external signal, which is the last mode. You can provide an external signal inside, so you have all the analog chain processing your external signal in order to make your own hi-hat. So let's go now, for example, to the FX section. So you have different type of effects, like sample rate reducers. You have also FM, ring modulation, comb filtering, like a jet flanger, a metallizer, and pitch modulator. Maybe it's not the best algorithm to use a pitch modulator. And you also AM, giving more like rhythmic in your hi-hats. So you have different type of filters, which is again analog, like a peak filter. You have also classic high pass, resonant high pass. You have 2 types of distortions, more like compressing your signals. It's still to rework a bit the distortion right now. And you have also presets, like you can have 96 presets. We can do a quick overview of different presets. So what's the module? So let's go to more crazy presets now. And as you can hear, you have a randomizer inside. You can randomize each parameter for every hit with an independent amount of randomizing.
Can you also randomize the preset? You can morph to the preset.
You cannot morph the preset, but you have a preset input, and the final version should have the select bus also compatible thing. So with the Harlequin's context over there, you will be able to randomize all the scenes and being able to recall by select bus the presets. Yeah, we can. So, kind of versatile high-pitched percussions and hi-hat generator. So now we have also the Sentersgate. Sentersgate is a dual multi-type gate, so it's two channels. We can be filters, LPG or VCA. So you have 8 different types. So now, for example, for the first channel, we have this screen filter with like mostly you have the bandpass version, high-pass version. Or you have also LPG. You have an optical emulation for the LPG.
So it's an emulation and not a real.
But it's an analog emulation. It's not a digital emulation. So we studied a lot of different curves of actual and ended up redoing the different envelope response, which is pretty complex of a actual. And we can even listen to it. So let's go for. You can apply the optical for a lot of different parameters. So second channel is not acting at all right now, even if they are in serial. So without the actual, with the actual emulating stuff going inside. You have a second range of a set of mode, which has a red mode. It's more like the harsh mode, so it's more like MS-20. The high-pass version. And the last one is a clean VCA plus a feedback loop with a distortion inside. So with a square wave, it won't do a lot of stuff, let's say that, but now we have the square wave and distorting the square wave. So the channels can be put in serial or parallel. You can link the parameter for stereo processing, and you have also choice between attenuating or attenuation over here. We have clickless switching of the mode, and you have a mode CV input, so you can, without any clicks, switch a mode, even at a pretty high rate, which makes really peculiar sounds. And the last thing also, it is select bus compatible. So if I'm using the Harlequins over there on the back, as you can see, I got different presets I can recall over here on my. And as you can hear, the Clockupon, which is the last model I want to show, is also select bus compatible, as I can load with the Harlequin's different preset over there. So the Clockupon is a transport section plus clock input. So transport section, what do we have? We have a stop, play. Let's remove this sound. You have a stop play, you have a reset operation. You have also a tap tempo.
So this is a new version of your...
Yeah, this is a new version. So now you have precise tempo display. And we added also the grooves like you have in Ableton Live, for example. So it's pattern of micro timing. So speaking of groove, we have a lot of different grooves with different time signatures. The first digit is the time signature. So let's go for a ternary groove. So it will keep 4 steps per beat, but it will move everything to ternary. And if I apply a certain amount, and we can go back to more.
The model has now a display, and I think it was more a feature request.
Yeah, but for precise tempo tuning, yeah. But you have also MIDI input, by the way. and you have also accent input, accent output, sorry. So the accent, you have different patterns depending on the time signature you have different sets. You have also randomized, so you will slightly add randomness like a drummer.
Everything the module had in the first version has the MK2.
Yeah. Everything it has in the first version is in the MK2 with more flexibility. Okay. So, for example, in the MK1, we have the ability to delay the first clock when there is a reset. So, when you have the reset at a certain time, the module is able to just delay slightly a bit the first clock in order to have all the sequencer replaying the same way. And you can just adjust the timing of the first clock from 0 to 6 milliseconds. You have also ability to decide if you want to reset at play, at stop, play, stop, and also every bar, every 2 bars, every 4 bars. You have also, like in the first module, do you want the 16 output to stop or not with the clock? It was an option of the first module. You have also you can set the tap tempo, the number of taps you want to make, if you want an integer or non-integer BPM when you're making the tap tempo, and the select bus if you want the select bus on or off. And you have 16 presets, so you can store 16 sets, and again, making recalls of the preset with the Harlequin's context.
François, now the most boring question of the entire interview or videos, when will be available the modules, and what will they cost?
Okay, so let's start with Clockupon MK2 is pretty almost done. It needs to go still a bit in beta testing. We hope to start the production like in a couple of months. Sentersgate need to last prototype just to fine-tune still things. Same thing, it should go in production very soon. The kick is almost done, actually. Maybe we have some 1 or 2 feature requests additionals that we should add. And the Archer's rig is the one who will come like the latest in all the family. About the pricing.
But everything 2023 or
yeah, this year. Yeah. We are almost done with all the different designs. Just this one needs a bit more of design, but it's almost done too. The idea is there, and just the analog side needs a bit of rework on the Archers, and it needs beta testing too. Pricing should be like 170, 180 for this one. Module lines is not sure yet. We should be around 270, and the Sentersgate will be 320.
Okay. Then big thanks.
Big thanks to you, Tom.
I wish you a good Superbooth 23.
Yeah.
Just beginning, so
be brave with the noise, Tom.
Yeah.
Be brave with the noise.
Thank you, and hope to see you again.
Yeah, see you again.
Soon. Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you.